Y'all, that intro music, if y'all don't be like in the back, like, and one, two, all that. It be giving me all the life. I love that intro music. What's up, y'all? It is Dominique, aka That Therapist. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the lead clinician and CEO for a group practice known as Yellowbird Counseling. And every Thursday, we come on and we discuss topics that the general public can relate to that doesn't have to necessarily do with having a mental illness, that still are reasons that you need to go to therapy. So that's what we doing. And y'all, I even dressed up for y'all. I put a pair of earrings on. Doing big things over here. I was like, let me give them a little extra. So these are a pair of earrings, okay? But I'm not going to do this discussion alone this evening. Y'all know I be having my fabulous Yellowbird ambassadors that also do therapy for Yellowbird come on and help me facilitate. So we had Jason last week, and then this week we got, who do we got? Let's see who we got. Let's see who we have. It's Bridget!
Hello!
What's up, Bridget?
Hello.
How you doing?
December, I'm telling you.
I know, right? It's so much.
We're going to get through it. We're going to make it, but December, right?
We're going to make it after all.
I'm good, though. I'm good.
Good. Did you have a long day at work, Bridget?
At work? No, I got the best boss, and I got the best.
Stop. Ask her, can she give me a job?
She'll hook you up. It's more my people that live at the house. Those little kids. I'm telling you.
Got you. Yeah, I got one.
I know.
He just it's just always something. Mama, feed me, let me outdoors so I can potty. It's just I'm sleepy. He's so needy.
Yeah.
He has a son. He is.
Well, I know somebody he can talk to. Or a couple somebody.
You know a dog whisperer, Bridget?
I mean, you got a talented team. Maybe one of them can whisper dog.
I wonder would Kayla do it.
That's right. You know it's Kayla.
I wonder would Kayla be interested in providing therapy.
We're dressing up with earrings tonight.
I did it. I got these. Where did I get these from? Some island, probably like, I don't know. But anyways, I think I got them in Mexico actually. So I'm feeling fancy. Like I gotta do that too. I even try to brush a little flat waist.
Your hair's got it's got good hair tonight.
I'm doing the side ponytail, really rocking that thing. So you know what I'm saying? But okay, so sorry y'all, we just really got in the whole conversation. Sorry. Please share this live because this is something that a lot of my clients have been coming. Well, they haven't been coming to me for it specifically, but they have been mentioning, like, when they hear the term, it makes them feel really anxious because for the most part, all of my clients are very loving, giving people. Just all of my clients are very loving, giving people, so that when they hear this term, it scares them. It can be a trigger, but they're scared and triggered because the word has not been presented to them correctly. So, that's why. But yeah, all my clients are loving, kind people. So they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. Well, let me tell you, you're not doing it if you're afraid that you're doing it. The people that are actually doing it, they are doing it on purpose and they don't feel bad about doing it. So that's what I have to tell my clients to bring them ease, because they really be like in tears about it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like a terrible person. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're not doing that. That's not the problem that we have with you. We have that you just want to put boundaries so people don't hurt you, but you're not doing this. So what are we talking about? We are talking about love bombing, okay? It has been a word that has been thrown around in popular culture. Most recently, I don't know, words get thrown around. It was like narcissism and So love bombing gets thrown around in there with narcissism, and love bombing actually equates to narcissism, and that's how it's presented. So when people hear that someone is love bombing, they hear, oh my God, I'm a narcissist and I don't want to be a narcissist. Well, let me tell you, a narcissist is not ever going to think that they're a narcissist.
Right.
Like, so if you're like, oh my God, I'm a narcissist, you're actually not one. When people call me and they're like, do you treat narcissistic personality disorder? I'm like, yes. And they're like, cool, because I have it. I'm like, you don't.
I don't know, though. Okay, so I will say I've done some deep diving into narcissism, and I do think there is some awareness with some narcissists.
Are they narcissistic, or do they have narcissistic traits?
I don't know, but some of them will wear it as a badge of honor, right? Like some will be like, don't you think? I mean, most, we're talking like some small percent, right? Most people, that if you think you are, well, then clearly you're not, because you're concerned about it. And that would, but there are some that are like, oh, I'm a narcissist. And like they, and I think I've had many.
They don't know enough about it then.
Yeah. But I've had like, I'm sure you've had some of those therapy conversations where you're like, especially you start out with somebody, no, you don't. And then, okay.
Yes, not for narcissism, but for some other things. Where I'm like, when they say borderline, that's when I'm like, I'll kind of bite my tongue when I want to say, no, you're not. But then I'm like, let me hold on for a second. And then I'm like, okay. That's very few though. Like for the most part, when someone thinks they got a diagnosis that they say that someone else is giving
negative, them, yeah.
I'm like,
usually,
I'm like, no.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like sometimes people be like, I'm a narcissist, and you're like, the gut is like, no, you're not a narcissist. And then there's this section. It's a small section that's like, I mean, they told you they were a narcissist, right? And
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm going through my decade.
Yeah.
If they were younger, like if they were going to develop, like if that was going to be their like age, like when they became age appropriate for the diagnosis, yes. Some younger one, but like adults, like if a narcissist comes to me, it's in a couple session and the spouse made them, and they use that as manipulation tactic. And I just don't, for true narcissists, we're getting off onto, okay, this does tie in, guys, because
it does.
It definitely ties in, okay, because this is a thing that narcissists do. But I think it can kind of be dangerous because they're such master manipulators that if they take the stuff in therapy and twist it in a weird manipulative way, then it can be dangerous for the person that's the victim.
Oh, absolutely.
So I have just be leery. I know there's just like two sides of the road as far as therapists that think like it's treatable and there's something you can do about it. And then therapists that are like me, that are like, oh, like I think therapy that at this point, because they've learned how to manipulate so well, it just becomes more ammunition for them. So
I don't know. That's interesting. As far as when I reflect on the narcissist I've worked with before, it definitely, I do think they come around more in couples therapy than in regular therapy, right? Because if you're a narcissist, you don't like you said, most people don't realize they even need therapy. They're usually the people that we're talking to our clients about. They're like, people go to therapy to talk about people who need therapy. That's who we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's the people. That's the ones. And especially, like, seriously, when they do stuff like, if y'all please share this live for me too, please share this live, because somebody needs to hear it, because somebody is, struggling, and narcissistic injuries. And I'm not talking about for the abuser, but for the victim, like being victimized by a narcissist can really it takes a lot of time to recover from it. Someone needs to know that they're not the problem, and they need to know that this behavior that they have experienced, that's confusing to them is a manipulative tactic. And so they need to break free, and they need to know that there are people that can help them break free. So please, please share this live for those folks. And
I think on top of that, a lot of times when we're talking about, narcissists, like the people who are drawn to narcissists a lot of times are the people who are like more loving and, deeply caring and things. And then that's where it's like, not only are you drawn to the narcissist, you're also more likely to give the narcissist more leeway. So it can be really emotionally abusive, like is what it rolls.
Right. Yeah. And it gets confusing, just like we talked about gaslighting and how that is designed by the abuser to confuse their victim. So this love bombing does the same thing because it sends two different messages simultaneously, one good, one bad. And the bad one is more subtle at first than the good one.
Right.
So, so what are those two? What are those two? What am I talking about? Basically, what am I really saying? What I'm really saying is the two messages that it sends. That's the word I was looking for. I had lost my train of thought. It's this therapist. Okay, I'm gonna come back to it. Hold on to that for me, Bridget. But it's this therapist TikTok where this therapist is in a session, and it's like one of those voiceovers. I don't know what it's from, but the therapist was like, so when you when you feel disrespected, it was like a weird choppy sentence. I'm like, oh my gosh, that happens. Like sometimes we be trying to process and hold on to so much stuff, and it be a lot, and there's lots of different points. That's when I just start taking notes. That's when I just start taking notes, and I'll tell myself to come back to that, because I would be straight up in there like
all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on this tangent, but I promise it's not a tangent, but just stay with me here. Right?
You gotta bring it full circle. You gotta have a plan for that thing. Like that's an art. Woo! But anyways, what was I saying before that? See there? That's why I asked you.
Well, we were going to talk about love bombing being
two messages. Two messages. Got it. Okay, so the first message sends to the victim that they're being really loved, and somebody is, really, really just about them. And that can feel nice to somebody who maybe has never felt that, might have abandonment issues. And let me tell you, the narcissist, they know that too.
They can sniff it out.
Yep, they can sniff out somebody who has been rejected, somebody who has been abandoned, and they know how to talk to that person to make them feel like they're somebody, and someone finally sees them. So that is one message that it sends. But the other message that it sends is on this at the same time. Abusers, emotional abusers of any kind, and narcissists, they know that a person like that is really impressionable as well, and probably real vulnerable, and that it would be easy to have power over someone who feels powerless in and of their self. And usually people that feel an immense level of rejection or abandonment, they feel powerless. And so this person, this abuser that's coming and swooping in on their life and, telling them how great they are and buying them gifts and taking them places, like, they know they start to feel safe with that. And then the subtlety of the real message, or the primary message, I'll say, comes through that person is just trying to manipulate you to use you as a supply for their own benefit.
Yeah.
So that is what love bombing is. And the victim can kind of feel that, but then because at first there's no real obvious like abuse going on, it really is confusing. So
they're not being hit, they end up,
if
it's
they're not
more
being hit or yelled at or cussed at or cheated
yet,
on that they
yet,
know of, we'll say that they
yet,
know of,
yet,
then yeah. So let's get into it. Bridget, tell us when you were looking at love bombing, what did you?
I did a little, I will say, you said, well, I have people and they're not using it right. And I was like, oh, what is that? And I did a deep dive, like where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed about this week. I need to know everything. And I legit spent most of my week like, oh, I'm going to listen to these videos and TikToks and read. And I still am not really there. So if you are just a random person and you don't quite get it, it's cool. It's cool because it's very complicated. It's a very complex form of power and control. Yeah. So don't feel bad. You don't really get it. And then also you don't know that these people, if it's a real therapist on one of the social medias, yeah. But then other than that, you don't even know if you're getting good information. But anyway, right. So I, it's funny because I think I told you, I was like, I don't know about that, Dominique. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to learn. I was learning and I was like, I know this, I don't know this phrase. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens in the honeymoon phase of a domestic violence relationship, this is that term. And I did not know that term. But I used to do I used to work at the domestic violence center 15 years ago. And this is what I saw all of the time. It's almost grooming. It's how that person brings you back in and kind of makes them in for their shitty behavior.
Yeah. My cuss.
Okay. I was like, wait a second.
Therapeutic.
We're on the Facebook. It is very therapeutic and I do it all the time, but I just want to make sure I was like, so yes, I found that. The other thing I found that was really, really interesting about this is I kind of went to this, is it grooming? Is love bombing grooming? Is it the same thing? Because I was like, well, it sounds like it's grooming, and so grooming for those folks is when somebody in power finds somebody, it can be in a relationship, but a lot of times it's in, predatory things and they, they lavish with gifts and, kind of create this bond that is really hard to break. So, and I found that, and yeah, I think a lot of it is pretty similar, but okay, so here's something I found that was really interesting, which is maybe the difference between, and I don't know if this is true, but I found this lady and I loved her on the YouTube, that she says that in 6 to 12 weeks, a lot of times love bombing ends because they only love bomb until they got you. And then when they got you, they don't have to love bomb anymore. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, so there's the Hoover that comes before that, and then there's the bomb, and then there's the devaluation.
Yes,
it goes all around. But yeah, they're I didn't start hearing about those because, like you, I've heard of them before, but not those terms. In the past couple of years, just being on Instagram, it's real more popular on social media. Yeah. But doing that idealization and then devaluation. Yeah. So that idealization is where you see the love bomb. And for those of you that don't know, I'll just give you the definition. I'm gonna give you what they say, what the definition is on Google, okay? Because it's not in the dictionary because it's phrase. So, but love bombing is the action or practice of lavishing someone with attention or affection, especially in order to influence or manipulate them. Yeah. So that's what I had to tell my clients. I'm like, listen, you're not love bombing because you're not doing it for the purpose of manipulating. You're doing it because you actually do care about this person and you want to show it to them. While there could be manipulation in there to manipulate them to love you back, still, if you knew that that's what you were doing, you wouldn't do it. This is somebody that knows that they're doing it, and they're doing it for the purpose of, hey, Danny. They're doing it for the purpose of trying to get something from you to give them what they're looking for. Danny, what you talking about? Dead on it. Wait, dead on it is grooming. If you act the way I expect you to, then you will get gifts and other forms of love. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but with love bombing, they started initially without an expectation from you. Like, yes, that is what it evolves into. But at first they start off with oh, you're just so amazing. Right. You're just so amazing.
I'm so lucky.
Right. I love you more than anything in the world.
You're the first person who's really ever gotten me.
Mm-hmm. Like, I just want to spend every day with you, every night with you. And then, like, actually maybe 72 hours from meeting, y'all are actually laid up together, like looking into each other's eyes and talking about future together. Like, and this just continues. And that's what scares most of my clients, because they're like, oh my gosh, I've done that in the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah, but then you got tired and you wanted to go to brunch with your ladies.
Right.
That was normal. And
exactly.
Was not.
Right. It don't stay like that for normal people, because yes, we all have a dopamine, like a rush of dopamine with somebody that we have a connection with. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody who keeps this behavior up to get you, and you'll notice it because they want to pull you away from. They're not going to encourage you to go to brunch. So, like, if you're a person that's not love bombing and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to spend my life with you, and I just love you so much, blah blah blah. Then the partner says, I'm going to go to brunch with my friends. Then a normal person would just say, okay, have fun. Have fun. They would celebrate the fact that you had a life outside of them. But for somebody that's love bombing, they're going to discourage you from being around your friends, engaging in the things that you're passionate about, and any other hobbies that don't have anything to do with them. While they're saying all these nice things to you, they're also trying to pull you towards them and away from everyone and everything else that also gives you a sense of value. So that is the difference. So I tell my clients, I'm like, no, like, is that what you're doing? Like, how would you? And I'd ask them, well, how would you feel if they X, Y, and Z? Oh no, I want them to, like, I really want them
That's
to.
Healthy. That's healthy.
That's healthy. So the problem isn't that you're love bombing. The problem is that you're probably overly indulging too soon. And that's okay. That just means we need to build some boundaries, and then you'll be fine. But for somebody that's love bombing, they know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly what they're doing it for. Like, it's very calculated. So they're like, if I give her this gift, then she'll do that. And then if she does that, I can get her to do this. And then I'll give her this gift to get her to do that. And it's like a whole calculated thing in their mind. And then once they get you at that point they want you at, and that's when the abuse starts, and it comes, and you're like, it feels sudden. It feels sudden, like maybe that first slap, or that first time they cuss you out, or that first time you see them looking at somebody else in a way that they should be looking at you. Like, then that's when you start, that's it. It's like, but they gotta love me because they do this, and this. No, this, that, this, and that was to keep you so that they could really be who they really are. The representative is the love bomber. You hear people talk about having a representative when you first meet someone, and that's who comes to present the best self. But then as you get to know them, you get to see who's behind the scenes. Well, the representative of a love bomber, they come with a real, like, there's a pressure. You feel a pressure. Or a pull or a tug that doesn't feel like it feels a little bit much. So that's love bombing.
Well, and I think, like, connecting to where we started with narcissism, this is like really, it's very classic narcissism and abuse. And it's like, when it connects to that, the narcissist is doing that because when they get you, it's all about them. So if you're, if your bestie is like, hey, let's go to brunch, and this is a healthy relationship, and they're like, hey, yeah, go on to brunch, that's serving you because they care about you. They're not getting anything out of you going to brunch while they stay home and clean the kitchen. But if the narcissist says that, if you say that and you say that to the narcissist, they're like, well, how does that serve me? You going to brunch. I mean, what am I doing? And so I think that's kind of where we look at that love bombing of like, it's not really about your feelings. Like, it's more about you looking good to me, you adding to me, hey, look at me, I got this hot girlfriend. Hey, look at me, my man is so cool. It's how you as an object serve versus like, I care about you and your feelings and things. So.
Yeah. And it's really sad and sick that there are people like that. And I can say that because I really just don't believe, like, if you have true narcissism, you in my, not even just in my mind, but in a lot of people's minds, you're in the same boat as like a psychopath. And like, you can't, I don't believe you can be helped. Okay. There's not even any research out there for like effective therapies for narcissists because they don't really come to therapy for there to be enough research to treat them.
Yeah, so, it's like couples counseling because they know they have to, you're going to leave if you don't, if they don't go.
And they're not done with you yet. So they got to go. But they will refuse to go.
They actually think they're going to go to couples counseling because they expect the counselor. And Dominique gives me all the couples, not all, but a lot. And
I give her all of the fun ones.
Okay. But I think, you can see it when that walks in the door and they're like, well, whose side do you agree with? And I'm like, whoa, I don't want to do that. What are you doing? Like,
we're not doing right.
Of that, like, ding, ding, ding. What are we talking about here? You narcissist? Like, because I don't need a side because I do not live in your house. Right?
Exactly. We don't take sides in couples. If you want somebody to take your side, you got to go to individual for that.
Yeah, I will take your side all day, boo, in individual therapy. And I will be like, no. But in couples, I'll be like, well, that's not really fair to either of you. Right.
The couple is our client. So we have to serve all parts of the couple equally. That's why I say, listen, if you need more of a cheerleader, then that's where you'll go to individual and you can get that there. Because I would be like all day, and I'll be like, it was this post that said, my therapy practice is somewhere between how did you feel about that? And so they really had you effed up then, huh? I'm like, yes. I'll be like, that they had you up, man. So yeah, you got to go to individual for that. So if y'all know a narcissist, just joking.
Bring it to therapy and trust that if you get stuck with me, not stuck, but if you get put with me, I'm not going to be like, yeah, you're right, narcissist, right? Like,
no, not Bridget. That ain't her. None of my therapists really do that unless you actually are right.
I have in the past, but even if somebody is right, I try to because the person who's wrong, we don't want them leaving, right? So anyway,
right. But no, I'll try because the thing with couples is there is a part that both people play. So you have to make sure to mention, like, okay, but this is your part. However, this is your part. You know, so the playing field is real level because you could lose someone. You could.
I will call you out on your shit in couples before I will an individual, right? You want to bring it so your partner who is a narcissist, even if it's 90-10, I'm gonna have to call you out on your 10, right?
Yep, gonna have to.
That's just what that is.
So but like I was saying earlier, a person who's actually love bombing, they're not worried or concerned that they could possibly be love bombing. So don't if you're like, oh my gosh, I've done those things. Like, oh no, I'm love bombing. Like I'm a narcissist. No.
But they may call you a narcissist, right? They may say, like after our, our love bomb sizzles and like now we're getting to that like really mean section, they're going to say you're a narcissist,
Yep. They're going to project their person onto you. So they're literally going to start calling you everything that is really true about them. Yeah. So that's really, and you're like, it's super confusing. Don't try to get into an argument with them because you're not going to win. Don't try to prove yourself to them because they don't really care about that. They only see people as a supply. They do not see people as anything worth anything other than a supply for them. So you don't need to like that, but they make you feel as though, because they played on the insecurity, they make you feel as though you have to have them in order to be validated and valuable. So if they leave, then they know that's going to injure you because you feel as though your value has been taken and your validity has been taken too. And so that's where the damage really comes in, and that's it. It takes some time sometimes to resolve that for a person.
And I actually, since joining Yellowbird, had one couple in particular that I can think of that this just fits like in like a puzzle piece. Dominique may already know who I'm talking about, but with that partner was like, how are you making my life better? How are you serving me? Like what you're doing is bad, or what you're doing is, like you're too needy, or you're not grateful for the things I do for you. Like I'm gonna give you some breadcrumbs and then I'm gonna ask you why those breadcrumbs aren't good enough when I set you up for the moon before I flip the script. So I think that's a lot of the other talk you hear a lot, right? Like in that thing.
Right. Like, yeah, like you should almost be like happy that
and they're the victim, right?
Right.
They're the victim because they gave you all of this and now you took it away, or they took it away, and now they're the victim because you're trying to talk to them about, hey, you did that and that was real uncool, and then you're victimizing them.
Yeah, you can't, like, I tell, especially this, I see that more in like my kids, or I'll say that have parents of that have narcissistic traits, at least. They like, it's a real weird position because the kid is like, well, I don't know, am I being selfish because they did this and this for me? I said they did that and that for you because they didn't want DHR all up in their business. They gave you food, clothing, and shelter because they had to, because they are a narcissist. They got to be seen in the best light. So that DHR in their business, that's going to look bad for them. But as far as supporting you emotionally, the other half of parenting, they didn't give you none of that. So you feel as though you were in the same boat as you should as a child who didn't get food, clothing, and shelter, because it's the same level of neglect. It's just one is more overt than the other.
And covert, yeah. I watch a therapist on the TikTok, and they all the time are going off like, why should we be grateful that they had a roof over our head and fed us? Like, that is the basic necessity. You chose us, we didn't choose you. And I'm like, yes. I don't think I'd ever say that in a session, but yes.
Right. Like, so, and so it gets kids real confused, and then they have but they can't talk to them, because if they try to bring that to their parents' attention, it's going to be like, oh, I was such a bad mom, or I couldn't do nothing right, and I'm just so sorry that I made your life so miserable. And it's just like, I tell my clients, don't even do that to yourself, because we already know that that's what mom or dad is going to say. Usually it's mom that I hear that kind of behavior most
moms, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so horrible. I just
Dad will just shut you off. You ain't ever hear from that dad again. They're ghosting. But mama's still that, right? So,
right. That dad will just be like, all right, but And so I'm just like, I'll tell my clients, don't even try to get into that debate. You're not going to win it. They're going to be able, because they know what buttons to push on you better than you know what buttons you have on yourself, because they're really like dark therapists. I'll say that. They're like the dark, like we're the good ones that help you, but they're the ones that take the therapeutic skills and flip it and manipulate a person with them. So that's why I think that, it could be dangerous for them to come and learn more of those skills that they could flip. But they'll by the end of that conversation, you're gonna be like, man, maybe I am selfish. Maybe I am ungrateful. Like maybe I should have been happy that they gave me 5 seconds outside throwing a ball in the yard and then came back in one time in my life. You know what I'm saying? So like, they'll have you confused. So this is why we do these lives, so we can educate you and also let you know that there's a place where, if you know someone or you yourself are going through this, that there'll be therapists that can help you with that, help you get through that and out of that, hopefully. But yes.
But then again, like if you feel like you've ever done that before, because I won't lie, being a mama, and I'm being a mama of an almost tween, and that's why I looked like a ragged person when I got out. I love her. She's my life, but she drains me. But being a mama, you've had those thoughts. You had that thought, I provide for you. I love my beautiful lady, but yesterday, this is going to ruin her life, but whatever. Yesterday, she's like, how can we only ever go to vacation to Florida and Tennessee? And I was like, because you do competitive dance and you go to a private school. And so like, you hear that. So I'm just saying, to the folks out there that are hearing some of these things and they're like, oh, did I do that? You can be like, well, the fact that you had that, conviction means you probably are not love bombing.
Right.
But it's okay to look at some of these messages that are not super healthy and be like, I could work on that.
Yeah, like that might be something that I really do need to get a look at. And so if you felt that conviction and you feel like, I don't want to have a behavior like that, we are here to help you. That is that's the kind of people we service here, is people that want to grow and be better and are okay at looking at their self, because going to therapy is a boss ass move, because you have to be able to see yourself and change the things about yourself that are like uncomfortable. So, but we can help you.
Judge you, because like I just said, I do that shit too. Like
we all do. That's why I got my own therapist. I got to go to my own therapist, and I'll be up in my own sessions like, Yeah, y'all can ask my therapist. I'll be in there like, okay. So, like it happens to the best of us. But the fact that you want to go and you want to grow, that means that you're probably not a narcissist. Okay.
Yeah. And that you're willing to like look at yourself and be like, oh, that wasn't great of me. Because narcissists don't see flaws. Like, right. That's why we don't see them in therapy, right?
They don't even think that what they did to you is bad, even if it's like clearly wrong. They don't have any remorse or empathy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that.
Grateful that you are allowed to be in their life and spend time with them, because they are it.
That's how they feel, and they sincerely feel that. Yeah. So like it's dangerous.
That's not even just fronting. That's like their real belief.
Right.
And then no. That, the fact, probably also, if you get to that point with a narcissist, that's when they should be giving you stuff, because you put up with their ass for that long, right?
They think they could swear they did you a favor by letting you in their life. Like, even though you're the one that dealt with all the emotional turmoil while they was just soaking up a supply. So, it's difficult. And they do things like, some other things that you might notice that they do is they promote like excessive communication. Like they only want you to talk to them. If you try to get off the phone with them to talk to your mama or your daddy or cousin or anybody like that, it's going to be a problem. They request constant attention. They demand commitment. Like, you need to commit to me. You have to. They resist your boundary. If you try to say, whoa, this is too far, they will buck your boundary.
But
They,
that's when they want you. But then when they are like, oh, I need to go do my own life, then it's like, well, why are you so clingy? Right. You know,
Yep.
like they wanted you in that space to hold you close and you to be there, everything. And ooh, that's my everything. That's my ride or die. But then they're like, oh man, I gotta go, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, hold on. I thought we were here.
Right.
And that's when that switch flips.
Yep.
Right?
That switch will flip and you'll see it. Like, it'll be weird when you first feel that weird, like, thrown off. That's when it started.
Yeah.
So once you start feeling that, if you're there now, I'm telling you, go on ahead and get yourself a therapist so you can already start working on your exit plan. Because this, like, if you feel that switch flip like that, it's gonna take you aback. And even if it's not quite so dramatic, you'll feel it like in yourself. You'll feel like, oh, that was weird. And then you might even make a face.
And if you're not healthy, unfortunately, you're going to start to introspectively go, well, am I too needy? Am I a selfish person? I must be. I need to work on it, right?
Yep.
Am I a narcissist? And that's when you go to Dominique and say, Dominique, am I a narcissist? They'd be like, no.
Nah, girl, you're not, because you had to ask me that. So no. So they make soulmates out of people like super soon. They say I love you real quickly. They say what you want to hear. They're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And it feels too good to be true at first. Like in your gut, it just seems like, what? Like, this is like, how do you even have all of the, how do you have enough insight to feel so strongly about me? Like, and you've only known me for like 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? So that if you have that question, go on ahead and come to us, because you probably indulged in it because it does feel kind of cool at first. Okay. And so it feels cool. So you're like, maybe I'm overthinking it. Nah, just come on ahead. Even if you're overthinking it, let a therapist help you come to that conclusion. But if you're not overthinking it, then thank God you came that early, because it could get way worse, you know? So
well, another one I saw that I thought was fascinating, that at first I had to sit and think about a little bit, was like that they suddenly love all of your interests. And I was like, well, isn't that a healthy relationship skill? And then I was like, well, no, because they love it because they're getting that control over you. They're not really loving underwater basket.
It's all in the intention. It's all in what the intention is behind it. So like, if a healthy person loves someone's interest, they love it because they love that it makes that person happy. Yes. They don't love it to mirror them, to gain more control over them. So it's all in the intention, and you can really tell what the intention is. Like I said, if you feel a pull away from the things that matter to you, that you love organically and genuinely, if you feel a pull from those things towards this person, then it's probably a good indication that there could be some love bombing or narcissistic abuse going on, and you probably should talk to your therapist about it. Or if you don't have one, go on ahead and give us a call, or you can give us a text, or you can give us an email, and we will get you set up so that we can help you with that situation, because it can be really hard to maneuver without help. So so and then Bridget literally just said that they mirror your interests. And again, they pull you away from your passions. And then, so once they've done that, once they have you in that place, you might see they're asking you to actually spend time with them over your friends. And so that's when, like, then they start to be more overtly like abusive, and you'll start to see more of those things, because they're moving on to the stage where they're going to devalue you, which is going to be pretty painful after they took you on this dopamine high. then they're
And
just
the problem really is like, all the rom-coms in the world are teaching us like,
Mhm.
look at this. This is goals, blah, blah,
right,
blah, blah, blah. And then the end credits come before they bring the,
right. Before the story continues,
yeah.
reality.
You're like, oh my gosh, I just walked into a real rom-com and he gets me and it's so amazing and blah, 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 blah. But then those end credits ended, and then it's like, and real quick, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think some of this happens in natural, healthy relationships.
Mhm.
Like you do sometimes have that connection, not always, but sometimes you're like, oh man, you are cool as hell and I love you. But then like that, then they get tired of you just like you get tired of them.
Right. And so, yeah, it does. Like I was saying in the beginning, like there is still going to be a honeymoon phase with somebody that you're genuinely interested in, but then it levels off and y'all are able to still be in a relationship with each other while still having your own lives outside of each other.
Yeah.
With this, this person is not going to encourage you to do anything outside of them because they want to consume you for their own personal gain. Even if they want to do their own thing, they don't want you to do your own thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's that double standard. That's a good flag to watch for is, can you do your thing while they do their thing? No, maybe not necessarily. So
right. So and it's tough because there's to get out of it. Like a lot of therapists are gonna, which I mean, yes, a clean break is ideal, but there is a trauma bond there. So because and we'll talk more about trauma bonds next week, but because there's a trauma bond there, it's a real fine line between helping them get out as quickly as they need to and getting them out as comfortably as we can, because both are going to be injury because you essentially are ripping off a Band-Aid. But you got to do it in a way to where we can minimize the distress while still like quickly getting you out of that, because it'll just get worse. So that's why you got to come to therapy to find what that sweet spot is for your own personal situation.
And be strong enough to know that I can walk away from this and it did feel really, really good, but it's never going to last.
Right. And that the person that they actually are is not the person you fell in love with.
No, you may, but I do think, and I actually kind of already thought this, and then I saw this like in the literature as well, is you're going to see like snippets, don't you think? Like still in that love bombing phase, in that like wooing phase, you're going to see some snippets of like, ooh, that was a little scary, right?
Yeah.
Your gut when you see that.
Yep.
And that's when you have to like get some help. So.
Yep, and that's literally one of the things, like trusting your gut. If it feels funny in your gut, go with that, okay? Because your gut is not going to steer you wrong. Yeah, isolation. Lakira was talking about isolation, and then what did Danny say? Danny said you also get this with insecure people. They always want to be right by your side to make sure you do not do what someone before you did to them. Yeah, true. But then that's the codependent as well. So the codependent, like it gets real because there's a lot of overlap between that, and codependents probably can do that too. But the difference is this person capable of remorse and empathy? If they're capable of like knowing that that's what they were doing, that was the behavior they engaged in, they want to change it, then we're probably not talking about a narcissist. Could they have love bombed? Yes. But could they learn to stop love bombing? Yes, because that's not what they intended to do. But somebody who is like in the most purest form of love bombing that we're talking about, it would be like narcissistic level, where they like know that they're doing that in order to gain control over you. But somebody who's more so codependent, they don't know it as readily as a narcissist. Like they can later come back and say, yeah, I people pleased because I secretly was trying to control how someone felt about me. While the narcissist is more so trying to control somebody for their own personal
benefit.
like benefit or supply.
But I would think too, like with codependence in general, I mean, you can't blanket everything, but I think a lot of times also with codependence, that is way different than narcissists because you can really work on that skill. And if you do say like, hey, like this needs to be worked on, there is some like truth in that codependence a lot of times. And they can be like, oh yeah, I see that. And that's whereas a narcissist is like, no, what are you talking about? I'm perfect. You're the problem. So
it's them, it ain't me, you know.
Yeah.
So but then like also when leaving a narcissist, it sometimes has to be a situation where you go completely no contact, where you ghost them and block them on everything, and that's really hard for people to do. But even if you can't do it like that, you have to just no lingering goodbyes. You just like a quick like I gotta go. And sometimes it can even be safer to text the breakup to a narcissist, like so like then trying to do it in person. Then you want to, it's just a lot that goes into it that a person could need help with, like writing down.
You could end up back in the cycle, right? Because if they do realize after they've like, you know, done the gaslighting, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, hold up, I'm out the door. That cycle can restart. They're going to, you know, after they've done all of the manipulation and they realize that you're not a fool, they're like, oh man, I can go back to this love. So that's why you have to have that clean break, or else you're just they're gonna do that. But it's not gonna, it's not gonna be as long as the first time, right?
And they're gonna punish you when you come back. They're going to make you pay for leaving. Because how dare you leave without them dismissing you? Because they feel like that's the only way you should be able to leave is if they dismiss you. And sometimes you gotta block common friends and then just assume that the narcissist will move on quickly, you know, because they will. They don't like, just know if you leave them and stay gone, even for just like probably even 30 days, they will have found someone. But they may try to come back if they're just, you know, having a little trouble out there finding a supply. But if they can move on, they will.
Yeah, because you're not a person, you're an object. So if my phone breaks, I'm going to go get another phone. I need a phone. But so if I'm a narcissist and my relationship breaks, I'm just going to go get another relationship. I need that relationship. That's an object. It's fulfilling me. It's servicing me. Whereas if I go through a painful breakup and it's not, you know, it's not with a narcissist, you're going to be like, oh, I got to process these feelings.
And so that's another point. Give yourself time to grieve. It is totally normal to grieve a toxic person. That's where the trauma bonding comes in. And that is where you need a therapist to help you with that healing journey of reforming, I guess, that trauma bond. So you got to give yourself grief. You got to acknowledge the grief. Even if you can see on the surface like this was not a good person for you, you still are going to grieve them. And that's normal.
Yeah.
Finding things to do to keep yourself busy that are healthy. And that may take some assistance from a therapist too, because you may be engaging in self-harm behaviors or self-destructive behaviors that you may not be aware of. So you definitely want to make sure, and it could be good things like overworking. Like, you know, work isn't going to hurt anybody, but overworking is really going to hurt you. And we don't want you busying yourself too much with something else that can be harmful. So you will want to get with us to figure out what that looks like for you.
Or just doing other things to avoid it, right? Like not, you know, processing it. So then the hot minute is you got out of that toxic relationship, but you avoided the abuse. And now you're going to get in another relationship, but you're still carrying the abuse around. You haven't really healed from it. So then that's why your next relationship doesn't look healthy. You know, it's bumpy. So
yeah, exactly. And one of the key things that you'll notice in somebody that is, you know, love bombing you, or it could be a narcissist or have heavy narcissistic tendencies, is they will create issues for no reason, just for the purpose of getting something stirred up over everything, the tiniest things. Like, you didn't fold that down right, or you put the toilet paper on like this and it's a huge issue, or like,
They're gonna test you, right?
yeah, very
It's a
small
test.
things. They're gonna
Yeah.
like make a huge deal. So
Mhm,
what
mhm.
can you do? You need to go slow in your relationships. Even if it feels like the movies, still go slow. If it is actually like the movies, great. But if you go slow, you're going to find out if it really is or not sooner than later with minimal damage. Staying connected to others and listening to your gut, like Bridget was saying earlier. So those, if this sounds familiar, or if you know of somebody that this may resonate with, please share this. Please share our information with them and have them to give us a call so that we can help. Bridget, do you have any other remarks for us on this topic before we close?
I would say my last thing I'm going to tell you is if you are stuck with a narcissist, you may begin to believe that that is what you deserve or that's all you're going to have. And that is not true. You will find a healthy relationship. It may not be tomorrow. It probably isn't. But you deserve better.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you are, Queen King, you deserve better. You don't have to live in this. There is something healthier out there for you.
Exactly. So thank you so much again, Bridget. It has been a pleasure as always.
Yes.
Don't wake up, Doyle.
I bought a noise machine, so I think it's probably, if you'd ask my clients, they probably, we don't talk about it, but they know because of that, they're not hearing my children's noises anymore. I'm working as a professional, right?
Well, it has been great, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Bridget. So yeah, and next week, guys, we're just going to be talking about trauma bonding and talking about that more. And we will be doing that with Shekinah. So come back. And wait, are we doing trauma? No, we're not doing that. I'm sorry, we're not doing that with Shekinah. We not. Scratch that. We're doing something else with Shekinah later in the month. We're not doing that with Shekinah. So, but we will be talking about trauma bonding next week. So please join us because you heard me make reference to that. So I want to dive more into what that actually is too, because people are using that term wrong as well. All right, y'all have a good evening. See y'all next week.